Do you know what's cool? Sonic the Hedgehog. You know what else is cool? Dragon Ball. You know what one of the coolest things about Dragon Ball is? Super forms. You know who else thought Dragon Ball super forms were cool? Sonic the Hedgehog. So to the surprise of no one, Super Sonic is really cool. But why are super forms so cool? Okay, I'm going to stop saying cool now. Well, I can only speak from my own opinion, but I feel the reason these super forms work so well is because it's an obvious visual representation that the character in question has pushed beyond their limits to become something else entirely. Relaying this back to Sonic, there's nothing quite like seeing the golden blur dashing his way around the screen. It's exhilarating playing as Super Sonic, and the biggest reason for this isn't because he's faster or because he can jump higher. It's not even for the invulnerability to conventional damage, it's all about the way it looks. Don't believe me? Normal Sonic has access to the same abilities for a short amount of time in the form of monitors. You tell me which one's better. Hell, the S monitor in Sonic CD's debug mode just gives you invincibility and super speed at the same time, but nobody says that you can play as Super Sonic in Sonic CD because A, well, you can't, and B, the power-up isn't what makes this super. It's the drama, the pageantry, the presentation. I guess what I'm trying to say is that for me at least, the most important thing about a transformation / super form is how it looks, and the reason I bring all this up is because outside of Sonic, Shadow and Silver I guess, most super forms in the Sonic franchise are... they're kind of underwhelming. They aren't bad or anything, but they're a bit shit compared to Sonic. Super Sonic has a pretty dramatic change in appearance, well, as dramatic as a colour change in a bad case of bed hair can be. It's interesting that Sega have been very liberal with new and different characters over the years, but yet very conservative with who gets super forms, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. Less use means it feels more important and special when it does happen, but on the rare occasion that Sega are feeling generous enough to bestow a super form on a character that isn't a hedgehog, you'd think they'd make the forms a bit more, well, super. I cannot tell you how excited I got when I found out that Mighty and Ray were going to have access to super forms in Sonic Mania. My mind wondered as to how they would look. What colour would they be? Would their bodies change at all? At my earliest opportunity, I gathered all those Chaos Emeralds, leaped into the air, hit Y and...
My disappointment is immeasurable, and my day is ruined.
What's this? This isn't a super form, it's the character's primary colour with the brightness increased by about 50, and Ray was exactly the same. But I shouldn't have been surprised because there was precedent for this. Knuckles and Tails have, let's say, modest super forms too. But you know what? Despite my stereotypically British penchant for moaning, I also like trying to offer solutions to the things that I complain about. So in this video, I'm going to be completely self-indulgent, nothing new there, eh? And pretend that Sega saw my channel and thought, ha, that man that likes the Sandopolis zone clearly has great taste and knows what he's talking about. Let's give him free rein to redesign Sonic's friends' super forms. Quick disclaimer, I'm excluding of course Sonic, Shadow, Silver and Blaze from this because there seems to be some continuity for Hedgehog super forms being yellow, so that's fair enough I guess. Oh, and Burning Blaze looks cool already, so there's no issues there. So, in no particular order, let's start with Sonic's double-tailed feline best friend, Tails. Tails' current super form is, well, just flashing between his normal colour and a few shades brighter. No change as far as the first style goes either. You know, like how Sonic's spikes point up? Nothing like that, just Tails stood in front of a flickering light.
Boring!
Here is my reimagining of Super Tails. And I'll be honest, after experimenting with different colours, none of them really worked, but then I remembered that silver foxes are a thing. So with that as inspiration, instead of changing the colour, I removed it, gave it a little blue tint, and boom. Tails is a pure kid, and so this colour kind of plays into that by giving him a sort of angelic vibe. I will say that Hyper Tails is much better, even though it looks the same, purely because of the flicky army of death. Sorry, I've always wanted to do that. But the flickies absolutely make up for how basic Tails himself looks in this form. His Hyper form is actually really unique and memorable because it added something different that no other character has. Of course, in an ideal world, Tails' Hyperform would also involve him changing colour, but the addition of the flickies upgrade this from meh to pretty good. Oh, and also my remix version of Super Tails reminds me a little bit of Nazo or Nazo from the Sonic X series, which is a nice happy accident, but let me know what you think. Man, imagine telling a Sonic fan a few years ago that Ray the Flying Squirrel would get a super form in a mainline game before mainstay characters like Rouge or even Metal Sonic. They would have said, who's Ray? But I'm not complaining, I've grown to really like Ray. The well-meaning, excitable little squirrel is a nice addition to the playable cast. You know what isn't excitable though? His super form. Now honestly, the bright glowing yellow reminds me of Super Sonic, so that gives it an extra point, but still, like Tails, this is just the base colour brightened a little bit. Boring! This is what I ended up with for Super Ray. Truth be told, I would say this is my least favourite remake, but it's at least different from his normal colour. I went with a more orange tinge in reference to red squirrels. It also makes him look like he's on fire, so I guess you could say that's pretty close to Burning Blaze, but she's from another dimension, so I'm choosing to ignore that. Unlike with Tails, there were other colours that worked well with Ray's design and probably better than this. However, those other colours were occupied by the next two entries and I didn't want to have any repeat colours. But still, I would rather Ray have his super form look like this instead of what he actually has. Mighty! Oh yeah, it's my boy Mighty. I don't know if you can tell by the animations I've used on this channel so far, but I love Mighty the Armadillo. Legit in my top 5 favourite characters, so you know I've got to hook my boy up with a nice super form. As we saw earlier, Mighty's super form is again literally just his main colour flashing slightly brighter. It's funny because you hear a name like Super Mighty and you expect something extra. The name is literally made up of two words that both mean power. Super and mighty, like amazing power or extra strength. And come on Sega, seeing as Mighty and Ray's addition to Sonic Mania Plus aren't considered canon, why not get crazy with the super forms and experiment a little? Doesn't matter, right? But no, this is Super Mighty. Are you sensing a pattern here? Boring! Here is my pitch for Super Mighty. Contrary to Tails and Ray, Mighty's shell looks pretty darn good in any colour. Probably because black looks good with everything. But I ended up sticking with this bright aqua colour. The black parts of the inner body really make the bright aqua pop. Very eye-catching, and again, even if you don't particularly like the colour, you have to concede that this remake at least looks different. Let me know if you agree. Knuckles! So Knuckles really is the laziest super form. You see, you could make the argument that the reason why only Sonic changes when he's super is because he's able to harness the Chaos Emerald energy better than all the other characters on the list. We get it Sonic, you're a very special blue spiky boy. However, Knuckles is literally the guardian of the Master Emerald, so surely if anyone else could utilise their power properly, it would be the guy who was born to defend them, but nope. Can you guess how this super form looks? Of course, just a slight increase to the brightness of the base colour and that's your lot. What's your take on this, Ali G? Boring! And here is my redesign for Super Knuckles. This is probably my favourite remake in the list. Darkening Knuckles' hot pink / red colours to a purple I think works really well with his serious nature. Kind of like Dark Super Sonic from Sonic X. Damn, 2 Sonic X references in one video, nice. And of course, brightening that purple to a violet back and forth adds extra emphasis to the change. I don't know, maybe it doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. I mean, when was the last time, apart from Sonic Mania, that any of these characters were able to use super forms? And no, those basic bubble shields in Sonic Heroes do not count. Like, why do that? I'm currently dabbling in game design, but from my very limited knowledge, I can almost guarantee you that making these lame ass shields would have taken more time to program than giving them the actual super forms they had in Sonic 3. It's just a flashing texture, Sega. Why? Is it that hard? You know what? Let's move on. I did want to mention quickly that since the trailer for Sonic Origins Plus dropped, Amy was confirmed to be a playable character. Twitter has been speculating on what colour Amy's super form will be, and a lot of people have expressed their concern that Amy will get the same super treatment as everyone else on this list, i.e. pulsating glow effect. And while I absolutely could see Sega doing that, if I am to follow my hunch of hedgehogs turn gold when super rule, this would lead me to believe that Amy's super form will be golden like Shadow, Silver and of course Sonic. Personally, I think rose gold would be a clever little change, so yeah, let's see how this theory holds out once we get to June 23rd. Anyway, what did you think of my redesigns? Did you like them? Which one did you like the most? Or do you prefer the actual super forms these characters already have? Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. And well, thanks for watching this video. This one was a fun one to put together, albeit long. I actually went through the sprite sheet for these characters and created the animations myself, which, while not difficult, was still very time consuming. Nonetheless, I hope you enjoyed the video. I've got more Sonic videos in the works, including another 2 games at the same time challenge, like my Sonic 1 and CD video, so stay tuned for that. We've also just passed the 200 sub mark, so that's awesome. I hate asking people for subs and likes, which is why I use mostly animations and on-screen reminders, but if you haven't already, then I hope you will consider doing so, and if you have already, then thank you. To quote the good ending from Sonic CD, you are cool. But until next time, thanks for watching the video, supporting the channel, and hopefully I'll see you later.